Hello and a very warm welcome to a brand new edition of World Panorama with me, Frank Pereira, on Rajya Sabha television. Over the next half an hour, we'll bring you a roundup of all the significant events to have happened around the world this week. But first, a look at the headlines. Donald Trump video rout takes center stage at US presidential debate. Republican dismisses it as locker room talk during second presidential debate. Hillary says Trump's comments show he is unfit to be president. Missiles target American destroyer in the Red Sea. US strikes 3 sites in Yemen after being targeted. Strikes mark first instance of US firing at Houthi targets. Shia Muslims targeted by Islamic State in Afghanistan. Gunman kills 18 people outside a shrine in Kabul. Deadly bomb blast kills 14 people outside a mosque in northern Balkh province. And the world's longest reigning monarch, Thailand's King Bhumibol Adulyadej, passes away at 88. Thais bid an emotional farewell for the king, widely respected across the nation. Well, the second US presidential debate on Sunday saw Donald Trump defending his obscene remarks about groping women by launching a defiant attack against Hillary and Bill Clinton. While Clinton chose not to address his comments about her husband, the contentious town hall debate even had the Republican presidential candidate stating that he will appoint a special prosecutor to look into Hillary's email use and put her in jail.
The stage was set for a bruising debate on Sunday when the rivals greeted each other without the traditional handshake. The contestants lost no time in getting down to an acrimonious discussion on the 2005 video in which Trump used vulgar language.
That was locker room talk. I'm not proud of it. I am a person who has great respect for people, for my family, for the people of this country, and certainly I'm not proud of it. But that was something that happened.
The defiant Republican claimed that President Bill Clinton had done worse to women. Not stopping at that, he threatened that if he won the White House, he would put the former U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton in jail for operating a private email server.
But for you to say that there was nothing wrong with you deleting 39,000 emails, again, you should be ashamed of yourself, what you did. And this is after getting a subpoena from the United States Congress.
We have to move on. Secretary Clinton, you can respond, and then we got to move on.
We want to give the audience a chance
you'd be put in jail, let alone after getting a subpoena from the United States
Secretary
Congress.
Clinton was about...
Hillary Clinton responded that Trump's comments showed he was unfit for the White House.
What we all saw and heard on Friday was Donald talking about women. What he thinks about women, what he does to women. And he has said that the video doesn't represent who he is. But I think it's clear to anyone who heard it that it represents exactly who he is. Because we've seen this throughout the campaign. We have seen him insult women. We've seen him rate women on their appearance, ranking them from 1 to 10. We've seen him embarrass women on TV and on Twitter. We saw him after the first debate spend nearly a week denigrating a former Miss Universe in the harshest, most personal terms. So, yes, this is who Donald Trump is.
The debate's town hall style format allowed the candidates to move freely around the stage and address the questioners directly. It brought into focus the body language of the contestants. While Clinton stood directly in front of the questioners to connect with voters, Trump stood almost over her shoulder or paced up and down the stage. Social media comments showed that Trump had unsettled quite a few voters with his behavior.
To be honest, I don't even think there was a winner, to be completely honest. I think It's almost exactly like the first debate. I kind of heard the exact same things. I'll say Trump did a better job of pointing out the things that the public wanted him to point out, and I'm sure Hillary pointed out the things that the Democrats wanted her to point out. But at the same point, I think it's kind of already decided. Those undecided voters, I'm not sure that this helps them.
Trump and Clinton clashed on a series of topics throughout the debate, battling over taxes, healthcare, US policy in the Syrian civil war, and Clinton's comments that half of Trump's supporters belonged in a basket of deplorables.
Within hours, I said that I was sorry about the way I talked about that, because my argument is not with his supporters, it's with him and with the hateful and divisive campaign that he has run, and the inciting of violence at his rallies, and the very brutal kinds of comments about not just women, but all Americans, all kinds of Americans.
In contrast to the chilly opening, as the moderators announced the end of the debate, the two candidates turned towards each other and shook hands. Asked to name one thing each admired about the other, Clinton said she respected his children for their ability and devotion to Trump. In response, Trump called her a fighter and said he admired her for her refusal to give up. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And joining me for a chat today to talk about this is Mr. K.P.Nayar, consulting editor of the Telegraph. Welcome, Mr. Nayar. Thank you for joining me on the program. You know, the allegations that were made against Donald Trump seem to have hurt him really badly as far as the race to become the next president is concerned. You know, some people have gone on to call him groper-in-chief, and, you know, several such things have come out in the media over the last 1 week. Do you think that Trump has been hurt badly this time?
Logically, in any other American presidential election, he would have been out of the race by now. American political tradition is such that politicians who say and do the kind of things that Trump has been doing or allegedly doing, they don't remain in either in public life or in the presidential race. But this is an election that has defied logic and reason. So I would hesitate to say what will happen, you know. I mean, I was one of those who never thought that Trump would come this far, that he would get lost in the primaries at some stage. So I wouldn't be surprised that in spite of all this, he becomes president in the election. He's elected president on November 8th. I'm not saying it would happen, but this is an election that defies all logic, so it may well happen. But having said that, he has been hurt. His popularity has come down, but not very substantially, you know. So one has to wait and see what happens.
Indeed, you know, but these kind of things happen to come up in presidential, you know, elections during the course of the, you know, the entire process. You know, your controversies from the past tend to catch up with you. But this is something that the campaign team should have been prepared for, isn't it?
Nothing like this has ever happened,
yes.
You know. I mean,
no, but controversies do come up.
Yes, of course. The nearest to something like this that I can remember was Gary Hart, whose relationship with this lady called Donna Rice was exposed, and she dropped out.
Yes.
He dropped out. Gary Hart didn't survive the scandal. Yes, they do come up. But you know, Donald Trump's baggage is so huge that no campaign can prepare for something like this, you know. So far, 11 women, as of now, 11 women have accused him of sexual misconduct. And everybody is expecting more will come out, you know. So how can any campaign deal with such an avalanche of allegations about sexual misconduct? But there is one other aspect to this, you see. Trump is not a politician. Politicians are prepared for this, you know. If they have done something, they manage to cover up, they ensure that it doesn't come out. I mean, Bill Clinton is past master at this. I'm not talking about the Monica Lewinsky scandal.
But the others.
no, not even a scandal actually. There is, nobody knows the truth even today. The widespread speculation was that when he was a student in Oxford, Vietnam War, he was against the Vietnam War, as you recall. And the speculation is that he actually renounced American citizenship, But then he went on to become governor. When he was contesting for the president, they managed to dig up his passport file of that time. And the entire portion of alleged renunciation of citizenship, passport pages are missing from his passport of that time.
So that's what a seasoned politician really can
but Trump is not a politician. People who have not been politicians and who have attempted to get government office in the US, this sort of thing has happened to them.
Let's talk about the debate itself. Now, the second debate, of course, the first one was criticized by several people because they said that it lacked content. Do you think that both candidates did better in the second debate?
Well, both candidates, in terms of actual debating, in terms of oratory and repartee, they did better. But the quality of the debate sank, I mean, see, in America, the office of the president is something like an ideal, Children are taught. In schools, they are encouraged to watch presidential debates, they are encouraged to study presidential campaigns and all that. But this is one campaign, these are the series of debates which teachers will hesitate to show the students, I mean, how can you tell children of impressionable age what is actually the content of this, They don't want to be told, the children don't want to be told that their possible president is a sexual predator,
yes,
and that he is capable of horrible things. But yes, the repartee and oratory has gone up, but the content has been atrocious, I mean.
Do you fear that it's only going to be worse in round 3?
Well, I don't want to speculate on round 3, but what we should look at is that, see, as I said, Trump's popularity has fallen, but it hasn't fallen sharply,
Yes.
See, Hillary may win the election on November 8th because her popularity has increased. So earlier they were all tied around 40. Hillary is now around 48 as of now, and Trump has gone down from 40 to 38. So the debate, whether third debate is good or bad for either candidate, may not make a difference because a substantial number of Republicans are not willing to, voters, not the leadership, not willing to abandon Trump because they see in Trump's victory a chance to change the nature of the Supreme Court. There is a Supreme Court nomination coming up. One more may come. So, if Hillary is the president, they're finished, And Supreme Court judges in the US are for life.
Yes.
So, if they're saddled with a liberal Supreme Court, this is not what the Republican Republican rank and file wants. And Obamacare, they want to get rid of Obamacare. So they want to somehow elect a Republican, Trump or Mike Pence or whoever. That is why his support base is not falling so much. But since independents, women, 73% of women don't like Trump.
Yes.
In fact, 65% of Americans don't like Trump. Yet he has this solid, not
support
personal following, but Republican following, So the debate, the quality of debate itself may not have an impact on the outcome of this election.
Indeed. We'll have to wait and see. Of course, it's not too far away from now, of course, the round 3, and then we'll know exactly what happens then. Thank you so much, Mr. Nayar, for joining us on the program and putting things into perspective for us. Well, moving on now, the US Navy retaliated on Thursday to its warship being targeted allegedly by Houthi rebels in Yemen. The US Navy hit 3 radar sites in the region controlled by the Houthis, terming the strikes as self-defense. But the rebels have denied targeting the US warship. Here's more.
The US hit radar sites in Yemen early on Thursday in a possible retaliation to a US warship being targeted in the Red Sea. The Pentagon termed the strike as self-defense. The US strikes came after missiles targeted the USS Mason off the coast of Yemen on Sunday and again on Wednesday. Both times, however, they missed the target and hit the water instead. The Pentagon says the missiles were fired from Houthi-controlled territory in Yemen. The Houthis are in control of much of Yemen, including capital Sana'a. However, Houthi rebels have denied that their forces targeted the US warship. The three sites targeted on Thursday by the US were in remote areas, hopefully avoiding civilian casualties or collateral damage. Initial assessments by the US Navy indicate all three targets were destroyed. The US has been at the center of the crisis in Yemen, backing a Saudi-led coalition against Houthi rebels to prevent them from taking over the country. Cracks have appeared in that alliance as well after the US said it was re-evaluating its support after an airstrike blamed on the coalition killed at least 155 people at a funeral home in Sana'a. The coalition started the military campaign in Yemen last year after Houthis drove out the US-backed government, taking over the capital. The conflict has killed about 10,000 Yemenis so far, leaving millions in need of aid. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, it's time for a short break on the program now, but still to come, a country bids an emotional farewell for the longest reigning monarch in the world. Tributes pour in for King Bhumibol Adulyadej from across the globe. That and much more still to come. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha Television. Well, minority Shia Muslims were targeted in Afghanistan earlier this week. A bomb blast outside a mosque in northern Balkh province killed at least 14 and wounded 24 among a gathering of worshippers. The devotees had congregated to mark Ashura, one of the holiest days of the Shiite Muslims. This was the second attack targeting the country's Shiite minority in less than 24 hours. An attack by a gunman on a shrine in Kabul on Tuesday claimed 18 lives. Both attacks were claimed by Islamic State. Here's a report.
Shiite Muslims in Kabul bidding a tearful goodbye to those who were killed after a lone gunman attacked pilgrims at a shrine on Tuesday. Less than 24 hours after that attack, Shiite community was targeted again at a shrine during the major festival of Ashura. At least 14 Shias were killed after a powerful blast hit at a mosque in the center of Balkh district in northern Afghanistan. 36 people were also wounded in the explosion. The bomb appeared to have been detonated by a remote control. There was no immediate claim of a responsibility for this blast.
Several people were wounded and martyred here, and we have taken them away in an ambulance. At least 13 to 14 people were killed and more than 20 wounded. Right after the explosion, everyone was in a panic situation. People escaped the area. A lot of people were killed and wounded right here.
Earlier, Islamic State claimed responsibility for the Tuesday's late evening attack in which a gunman entered the Karte Sakhi shrine, firing indiscriminately on worshippers as they tried to flee. The death toll from that attack has risen to 18. President Ashraf Ghani condemned the attack as a clear sign of a crime against humanity and the United Nations calling it an atrocity. White House said the strikes were clearly designed to stoke sectarian tension in Afghanistan. The attacks come even as the Shiite Muslims across the world are mourning the 7th century death of Prophet Muhammad's grandson, Imam Hussein. Authorities had warned Shiites to avoid large gatherings.
We buried those people who gathered to commemorate the martyrdom of Imam Hussein, but were brutally attacked and killed. Their wounded mothers and sisters are in hospital with bad conditions.
Sectarian attacks have been relatively rare in Afghanistan, unlike neighboring Pakistan, where violence, particularly by Sunni hardliners against the Shia minority, has claimed thousands of lives over the past decade. However, Islamic State and the Taliban, being under heavy pressure from US airstrikes and Afghan forces on the ground, have stepped up attacks on the minority groups. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
The world's longest reigning monarch, King Bhumibol Adulyadej, passed away on Thursday, aged 88. King Bhumibol was a revered figure in Thailand who helped unify the nation in his 70-year reign. Experts say given the pivotal role the king has played in maintaining the balance of power in Thailand's volatile political environment, the succession will be a formidable challenge for the government.
Large crowds at Siriraj Hospital in Bangkok breaking down as news of death of their head of state for 70 years, King Bhumibol Adulyadej, poured in. The world's longest reigning monarch reigned through an era of rising prosperity and frequent political turmoil. King Bhumibol was the member of the Chakri dynasty that occupied the Thai throne since the 18th century. US-born and Swiss-educated Bhumibol was a deeply revered figure whose unifying appeal stretched across the spectrum of Thai society. United Nations General Assembly held a moment of silence for Thailand's late king. US President Barack Obama recalled the king as a man of grace and warmth.
I just know that I love my king. You see, king, they're helping everybody, helping the poor, everything, you know. So you never find a king like our Thai king. You see, whole world, our king the best, helping the poor.
His Majesty King Bhumibol was revered by the people of Thailand as a unifying national leader. He was also highly respected internationally.
The Thai National Legislative Assembly held a special session to mourn in Parliament the death of the country's king. Flags are to fly at half-mast for 30 days. The official mourning will last a year. Crown Prince Maha Vajiralongkorn is to be the new monarch but has asked for a delay before taking over the role. He knows King Bhumibol will be a hard act to follow. The Thai Prime Minister has appealed for calm.
For the economy, stock market, trade, investment and business sector, please don't stop. Don't make our country stuck and lack reliability. Don't panic to buy or dump stock. I urge everybody to maintain our country's financial security.
The king's death comes as Thailand remains under military rule following a coup in 2014. The country has suffered from political violence and upheaval over the past decade, as well as from bomb attacks blamed on Muslim separatists from southern provinces. Though a constitutional monarch with limited official powers, Thais look to King Bhumibol to intervene in times of high tension. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, much else has unfolded around the world this week. Here's a roundup of the other international news of the week in Globe Watch.
The US came out in support of India's right to defend itself in the wake of surgical strikes carried out on terror launch pads across the line of control. The United States termed the Uri terror attack a clear case of cross-border terrorism. However, Washington has advised caution given the heavy militarization between the two countries. The US also dismissed the recent attempts by Pakistan to link peace in war-torn Afghanistan with the resolution of the Kashmir issue. The next Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, has said UN has the moral duty and the universal right to ensure peace, and he will promote a new diplomacy for peace, advocating dialogue to settle disputes. Speaking at the UN General Assembly, he said it is high time to fight for peace and make people understand that whatever divisions exist, it is more important to unite and end the suffering. Guterres added he will try to bring an end to global conflicts. Russian President Vladimir Putin has said his country is not involved in an effort to influence the US presidential election. Speaking at a business forum in Moscow, Putin said nothing in the hacking scandal is in Russia's interests and accused all sides in the US presidential campaign of misusing rhetoric about Russia for their own purposes. Putin said his government will work with whoever won the US election if the new US leader wishes to work with Russia. The UN's human rights chief has said Donald Trump's deeply unsettling and disturbing views make him a danger internationally. UN High Commissioner for Human Rights Zeid Ra'ad Al Hussein cited Trump's comments on the use of torture and his attitude to vulnerable communities. The Republican presidential candidate's campaign has been marked by a number of controversial comments. Ethiopia has declared a state of emergency following months of anti-government protests by members of the country's two largest ethnic groups. The state of emergency will last for 6 months. Human rights groups say more than 500 people have been killed in protests in the Oromia region since last year, when anger over a development plan for the capital turned into broader anti-government demonstrations. Tens of thousands have also been detained.
Well, let's now shift focus and bring you up to speed with all the sports news you might have missed this week in Sports Action. Russia's Tatiana Lysenko has been stripped of her London 2012 Olympic gold medal in the hammer throw after she tested positive for steroids in retests of her sample. The double world champion had already been banned by the International Association of Athletics Federation for doping earlier this year. She also served a 2-year ban from 2007 to 2009 for using steroids, missing the 2008 Olympics, and now faces a lifetime suspension from the sport. Tyson Fury vacated his WBO and WBA world heavyweight titles to deal with his medical treatment and recovery. The 28-year-old Briton admitted taking cocaine to deal with depression and looked set to lose his boxing license. He has not fought since beating Vladimir Klitschko in November 2015 and has twice withdrawn from scheduled rematches. Fury withdrew from his latest rematch with Ukraine's Klitschko scheduled for 29th October because of mental health issues. Australia's Nick Kyrgios lashed out at fans and insisted he didn't owe them anything after he was booed off court in a spectacular meltdown at the Shanghai Masters on Wednesday. The hot-headed world number 14 clashed with a chair umpire and a heckler and admitted not trying after he lost 6-3, 6-1 to German qualifier Misha Zverev, the world's number 110. Kyrgios was slapped with a code violation for an audible obscenity and was warned to play properly in front of an increasingly restive crowd in Shanghai. David Warner's record-breaking 173 of 136 balls for Australia proved in vain as South Africa completed a series whitewash with a 31-run win in the fifth and final ODI at Newlands. Warner made the highest score in an ODI at the Cape Town venue but could not drag the tourists up to South Africa's 327 for 8, which featured 122 by Riley Russo. South Africa duly became the first team to defeat Australia in every game of a 5-match one-day series. Ben Duckett and Sam Billings hit half-centuries as England cruised to a 4-wicket victory in the third one-day international to win the 3-match series 2-1 against Bangladesh in Chittagong. Set a challenging target of 278, England passed the target losing 6 wickets in 47.5 overs. The visitors' victory also ended Bangladesh's unbeaten run of 6 consecutive series at home dating back from November 2014. And finally, Bob Dylan, regarded as the voice of a generation for his influential songs from the 1960s onwards, won the Nobel Prize for Literature in a surprise decision that made him the only singer-songwriter to win the award. Now, the 75-year-old who won the prize for having created new poetic expressions within the great American song tradition now finds himself in great company as a Nobel laureate. I'm going to leave you with glimpses of Bob. See you again next time.
Accepted that soon you'll be drenched to the bone. If your time to you is worth saving, then you better start swimming or you'll sink like a stone. Man, play a song for me in the jingle jangle morning, I'll come following you.